Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you wherever you are watching from. I hope you're having a wonderful time at the festival or you're watching on catch up. I'm Tabitha Goldstaub, the co-founder of CogX, and for this interview, I'll be wearing an additional hat, as I'm also the chair of the UK government's AI Council. And as such, it's a pleasure to live quiz one of the world's greatest entrepreneurs about his views on AI in the knowledge that his insights will help me inform our national AI strategy. If they get your brain juices going and you'd like to feed into the strategy before June the 20th, please do search for the AI Council survey on the Alan Turing website and let us know your thoughts. So, on to Jensen. Jensen Huang is the CEO and co-founder of Nvidia. Co-founded in 1993, Nvidia is the world's most valuable chip maker with a market cap of almost 400 billion. Best known for selling specialized graphic chips for PCs and game consoles, Nvidia is now everywhere. Having ridden one of the biggest waves in technology, selling hardware and software needed to build increasingly clever AI algorithms. I'm told the sci-fi novel Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson is his inspiration of what he believes the future could look like. So let's bring him in and find out what he thinks of the present and the near future. Jensen, good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Tabitha.
Good morning. So, we're here to talk about your views on AI in the UK. One of the challenges we face here that I don't think you have in the Valley is making very busy people care about this new technology. Give me some help here. What stories do you tell to inspire and galvanize business leaders, government officials, and the general public?
Well, you know that the computer industry has been striving for automation for a very long time. That's really, in the essence, what software is about. Until now, engineers had to write the software, develop the algorithms, and create the automation technology that is then runs on a computer and deployed broadly. The thing that's really amazing is that over the last 10 years, this new form of software called deep learning, which has started the combination of deep learning running on our processors that we created called GPU that you mentioned earlier, started what is now understood to be the modern AI era. What's amazing is the software studies data. It studies a whole bunch of digital data. It could be images or it could be sonic data like voice recordings, and from it, it could learn how to understand it. And it doesn't do it automatically, but it does it largely automatically. And so all of a sudden, what you're really seeing is software that's writing software that no humans could. And for the very first time, the computer could automate the process of automation, writing the software by itself. And so the question is what happens when a computer can learn in a lot of the ways that we learn, and what kind of applications can it solve? And so you're seeing the widespread adoption of this capability now, and we were fortunate to have been at the epicenter of it, but it is unfortunately the most powerful technology force of our time.
Yeah, and you've got a sort of front row seat into the different industries that are being transformed. What are some good examples of some of the sectors, companies that you're most excited about right now?
Well, the earliest breakthroughs of deep learning and AI is computer vision.
Yeah.
This form of software is so difficult to write. There's so many diverse things. The human mind has the ability to recognize objects, understand the distance of objects, somehow reconstruct it in our mind, and for the first thing that's happened is computer vision has become superhuman. And the applications of that, of course, one great application is self-driving cars. Other things, robotics. You could have agriculture equipment that identifies plants or vegetables that need to be weeded, and only put insecticides on those, and otherwise let it grow naturally. You could keep places safe. So computer vision is just a great breakthrough. Medical imaging, some of the work that's being done in the UK. There's a really great startup called Kairon Medical that's doing medical imaging for breast cancer detection and diagnosis. There's all kinds of applications like that because of computer vision. Now, one of the largest breakthroughs in AI, and this is just a profound impact on so many different industries, is natural language processing. But at the core of that is a algorithm that's called transformers that has the ability to learn from sequences. You know, whereas computer vision looks at an image wholly and statically, the transformers has the ability to learn from sequences of patterns. So, for example, characters that make up words, words that make up sentences, sentences that make up paragraphs, and paragraphs that make up stories. It has the ability to learn from all those sequences and recognize our speech, understand the meaning of a sentence, be able to read a paragraph and summarize it, to be able to read a story and decide whether it's a romantic comedy or some kind of mystery or whatever it happens to be. And so the AIs are becoming really, really quite clever.
Yeah, they certainly are. And one of the areas that we've spoken about a lot at CogX is many nations and our nation's goal to use digitization and AI to address the climate crisis. What do you think AI's role is in that journey that we're all on to net zero?
Yeah, there's a few things to remember to look at when you think about AI. So one of the ways to think about AI and this algorithm called deep learning is a universal function approximator. A universal function approximator. If you look at our ability to understand climate, one of the first things that we have to do is simulate the weather, simulate the climate, to understand all of the multi-physics that's involved. It's related to temperature, of course, but it's also related to currents of air, and has to do with the geometry of the Earth, and a lot of different systems that are working together. So it's a large scale. It's what is called a mesoscale multi-physics problem, and so it's just computationally insane the amount of simulations that would take to be able to understand what is happening on Earth as a result of weather. Now the question is if we want to understand climate change, you really want to be able to monitor and take telemetry of all of the data around the world, try to construct a simulation model of the Earth, and then use that model to predict what would happen a year, 10 years, 20 years down the road. And when you can make that prediction, then you can change certain aspects of our behavior today and understand what it would look like someday. And so one of the very, very ambitious projects that we're collaborating with the European Union on is this thing called a digital Earth, Destination Earth. And Destination Earth is essentially a supercomputer that is simulating the Earth, and it's essentially the digital twin of the Earth. And all the things that I mentioned, the physics simulation of it today, so that we can project where's climate someday, is really, really important. This is a fantastic project. It's incredibly ambitious. Could you imagine to have an entire Earth in a supercomputer, and it's a twin of the current Earth in all of its nuances in temperature and weather and climate, and it could predict storms and tornadoes and things like that, and to be able to simulate the Earth basically at that resolution. And so that's one of the things that we could do with artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence can take all of the data that is being measured from around the globe, from it learn what is the behavior of the Earth, learn the behavior of the Earth, and then using that model to predict where it's going to be someday. And so artificial intelligence is going to play a huge role in our ability to understand climate.
I can almost like imagine it, but also can't imagine it and hope that it's already happened. It's a very strange feeling, isn't it? That sort of the younger me just believed that this was already happening, and then as you start to learn more about how complicated things are, you realize how much further away we are from them. One of the challenges we have, and it's not always spoken about, but AI itself is inherently carbon hungry. So we talk about how AI is definitely one of the white knights against the climate crisis, but how can we get the balance right with the challenges that we ourselves as an ecosystem and industry have?
Well, it does take very powerful and therefore very power hungry computers to study all of the data that's coming in and try to understand from the data, which is basically experience, digital experience, from the digital experience, what is the insight? What are the predictive features? How to predict the future given new data? And so it takes fairly powerful computers to create these models. However, the way to think about that is this: in the absence of that computer creating that model, it would have been millions of engineers typing away and developing the software, iteratively over a period of a decade. Yeah. And so we're essentially taking all of the energy that would have otherwise been consumed over a very long period of time across a whole bunch of computers, and we shrunk it into one. Right. And so you essentially have a time machine, and the time machine gives us the ability to predict the future earlier. And so you if you think about the entire envelope of energy that it would have otherwise taken, I'm almost certain that we are saving energy when you look at it over the period of time. However, we still want to create the most energy efficient computers. I announced, and we're going to inaugurate the most powerful supercomputer that has ever been created in the UK. It's called Cambridge 1. I announced it a few months ago when we announced, shortly after we announced our intention to acquire ARM, that I would build a supercomputer in Cambridge. And it's going to be UK's most powerful. It's going to be the most powerful industrial supercomputer in the world. And it is also going to be the most energy efficient supercomputer ever created. And so of course, we want to build these computers so that we could create these amazing algorithms that's great for healthcare, that's great for climate science. However, we also want to make sure we use all of our best known techniques to create architectures that are very energy efficient. It's going to cost about $150 million to build. We're going to inaugurate it on July 7th in just a few days. Yeah. And we're going to use that computer to do simulations for climate, of course, but we're also partnering with GSK, and we're opening it up to AstraZeneca and King's College in London and Oxford Nanopore, guys in St. Thomas NHS Foundation Trust, so that we could use the supercomputer that we built to create AI models to do a better job in predicting early detection of neurological disease, or like Alzheimer's, or faster detection of SARS-CoV variants to get a head start on stopping future pandemics. And so these supercomputers are mighty and powerful, but it is possible to make it extraordinarily energy efficient, to the point that it's carbon neutral. So Cambridge 1 will be one of the world's first supercomputers that's carbon neutral, and it's incredibly super energy efficient.
I mean, carbon neutral, and in the UK, like you know, be still my beating heart. It's very exciting, and not least because one of my worst metaphors is that AI is always described as sort of an arms race. But, you know, by most metrics, the UK does lead the pack of countries behind China and the US, and it's a metaphor we're going to have to grapple with. And when I hear stories about, you know, Cambridge 1, I get excited, because we all ultimately know that there is a kind of a race. And I'd really love to get your perspective on where you see the UK in that landscape. What made you decide to build Cambridge 1 here?
Well, you know that Cambridge is the epicenter of two very, very important innovations. One of them, of course, is the invention of the computer, Alan Turing. The other is Watson and Crick's, the discovery of the gene. And it is the source. Cambridge is also one of the great epicenters, great centers of computer science development today and genomics research today. And computational biology, or molecular biology, and all of the development that's happening around there is going to be the next giant revolution. Yeah. And we're going to apply artificial intelligence technology and computer science technology to try to better understand, to digitize, to decode, to understand biology for the very first time. And we finally have the necessary insights that might give us the opportunity to do that. But we need a supercomputer to do it. And so, we're just as a Large Hadron Collider, or the Square Kilometer Array, or any radio telescope, or incredible satellites that are going out to the edge of the universe. We need instruments to be able to discover science. And so the first thing that we need to do is build a mighty supercomputer in the UK, and we put it in Cambridge for that reason. Now, the ecosystem of AI is really vibrant in the UK. And you Tabitha, you know this well, that there's some 500 AI startups that we work with. There's about 1,500 in the UK. And that's the largest number in all of Europe. It's 500 in the UK that we work with, about 400 we work with in Germany, about 300 that we work with in France. And so the UK is vibrant with great computer scientists, is vibrant with great researchers in healthcare and life sciences. And we're at the beginning of a new revolution, digital biology revolution. And it's made possible by artificial intelligence breakthroughs, and we just got to go lean into it really, really hard, because we can make some great strides, make a real great contribution.
We certainly can. And you talk about Europe. There are great strides being made. There's also some really exciting strides in the regulation space. So the EU, as you know, just published its proposed AI Act, and the UK National AI Strategy is expected in autumn. And so I would be remiss not to ask you what role you think that the tech companies play in specifically the regulation of artificial intelligence.
There's several things that we should do. First of all, we need to recognize that this is the most powerful technology force of our time. The automation of intelligence. When you think about it, intelligence is humans' superpower, and AI is going to automate the extraction, the creation of the automation of intelligence, and to be able to do it at incredible speeds and scales, because once it's automated, it's like the speed of light. You could, and computers all over the world, you could have it deployed very quickly. And so, because it's so powerful, we have to be thoughtful about its effective use, and and using this technology wisely. There are several things that I believe. One, we ought to make this technology and the data collection of it, and the source of the data, as open as possible.
Yeah.
And we have to be mindful and teach each other and have open dialogue about biased data or data that's inappropriate to train an AI with. Just as a child, you want to give it good examples to learn from. You also want to do the same thing, and to avoid bad examples, you want to do the same thing for AI. And so the ability to have open data, the ability to be able to collaborate openly across different sources of data, and then also having the dialogue of how to keep the data less not biased, or biased only if necessary, and properly. To be able to have that dialogue. Second, we have to enable every country to have the computing resources necessary to be able to do the work of AI.
Yeah.
We need to democratize AI so that every country and every industry and every company and everyone has the ability to benefit from the automation of intelligence and to take advantage of this great capability. Cambridge One was our way of being able to invest in the UK. To attract great scientists from all over the world to come work there, because scientists want to work near where there's great instruments. And so the second is to make sure that the technology is developed in a way that every country has it and it's democratized. And then further is all the things that you guys are doing. The public dialogue about the importance of this technology, the capabilities of the technology, and its effective use. And the wise guidance of the development of this has been applied to other industries. chemistry is an area that, of course, was the superpower of its time, and it could have been used for wonderful things, which it is, and it could be used for harmful things. The open dialogue of the world's scientists, the open dialogue of the nation's governments, and the proper description of an articulation of regulations that ultimately led to chemistry being such a wonderful force of good. Other industries and other technologies have also gone through examples like this, and artificial intelligence also needs to have that.
Yeah, we're definitely having our moment. And what responsibility do you think a company like Nvidia has for the ethical concerns of the AI applications that your chips are being used for? So not just your own use, but for example, your chips are already being used to enhance facial recognition systems. How do you provide leadership in that sensitive area of like, what should you do rather than just the regulation?
Well, we design our processors and our computers to be general purpose as much as possible. For that reason, it's able to detect lanes and cars and signs and roads and keep people safe in cars. For that reason, it's able to detect in radiology images disease and whatnot, so that we could detect disease. And so these, from self-driving cars to radiology to drug discovery to climate science, you could see that the general purpose nature of the technology. It is also for that reason, even though innovators and entrepreneurs and creators of computers like ourselves build it for general purpose good, we also need to highlight all of the good work it's done, so that people could be inspired and the industry could be inspired to apply the technology properly. It's difficult for any company or any technology provider that's general purpose to imagine, or even to just imagine, or even to find the nefarious uses of the technology. And as you could imagine, but we build it for good. We need to advocate its proper and good use to inspire other people to use it properly, and for the goodness of society, and hopefully, hopefully with regulators and with nations overseeing the overall use of the technology, use the nefarious use.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge I think all the nations are grappling with at the moment. Earlier, I heard you mention ARM, and I could not let you go without talking about your plans to acquire ARM. Headquartered in Cambridge, as we've just discussed, it's definitely considered a crown jewel of our tech industry. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your vision for, like, what do your two companies look like combined for you? Well,
we're combining two. First of all, thanks for asking. I love talking about ARM. This is a company that we've worked with for a very, very long time. The UK has every good reason to be proud of ARM and its achievements and its contribution to the world. We would like to combine the CPU capabilities of ARM with the artificial intelligence capability of our company. By doing so, we will create new ideas and create new innovations. And so at the core, that's what it's really about. The future of the computer industry is about artificial intelligence. This is the AI of the automation. This is the AI era and the age of the automation of automation, as we described. And computers are going to learn. They're going to learn from experience. We call it data. They're going to learn skills that are going to make us more productive, help us do things we otherwise can't do, help us do things that are too dangerous, keep us out of harm's way. There are a lot of good things that can come out of this. Surely, there are all the things that you and I already just mentioned that we have to be mindful about. But the combination of ARM and Nvidia creates a computer company for the age of AI. There are some and I have to if you don't mind, I just offer that there's some excitement about us buying ARM in the UK, and one of the sources of the concern is wrongly believing that we're going to take ARM out of the UK. As we've been talking about, our goal is quite the opposite. We're buying ARM so that we can increase our investment in the UK. Cambridge is already a fantastic center for computer science, is a fantastic center for healthcare and life science and genomics research. We want to invest more in that area. Cambridge One is simply our first investment. And so ARM gives me a headquarter in the UK for us to invest mightily in. And so we have no intention of taking ARM out. In fact, our goal is to invest into the UK, and hopefully by making ARM even stronger than they are today, preparing ARM for the future of artificial intelligence, that it becomes an even greater source of pride for the UK.
It's fascinating to hear, and you're definitely helping my partner's campaign to try and get me to move to Cambridge. So I hope he's not listening. I think one of the interesting, or at least exciting things, is how a lot of leaders have got vision, a sci-fi vision of what the future looks like. And I've read that you're, very keen on the on thinking about how the future looks from a sort of snow crash perspective. My challenge often is that I still see the metaverse as sort of a Ready Player One vision. And you mentioned digital twins earlier. And so I'm really keen to understand a little bit more about what your version of this looks like, so that then I can go to bed at night not thinking Ready Player One, and together we can start telling the brighter story together to people.
Yeah, it's much more pedestrian than that. Let me give you some examples. My favorite version of the metaverse is being built right now. It's called Destination Earth.
Yeah.
It is a metaverse. It's another version of Earth, and it's trying to simulate its weather.
Yeah.
One of my favorite versions of the metaverse is a digital factory,
where
we would design the product, design the robots, train the robot, teach the robots how to build the product, and design the factory that orchestrates all of these robots completely in virtual reality. So we would design the factory, the operators, the robots, and the people that are in there interacting with the robots and the products at the same time. And so when the product is done, the factory is done. When the factory is done, you can start building a product. And you would do this all completely in the metaverse. You would do this completely in the metaverse. And it obeys the laws of physics. If you drop something, it falls to the ground.
Yeah.
Everything looks like it's completely photoreal. It's like you're there.
Yeah.
If you want to go into it, Tabitha, if you want to go into it, you go in through a wormhole called virtual reality.
Yeah.
If you want the AI robots to come out later and help you, guide you in the physical factory that you built, the AI, the robot, can come out through a wormhole called augmented reality.
Right.
And you would just hold on your phone or hold onto a headset, and all of a sudden that robot is literally standing next to you, telling you about things that needs to be fixed or enhanced. This factory that you designed that gets built, the digital version of it, the metaverse version of it, will be the digital twin, just like Destination Earth. And that digital twin will be operating in real time, just like the real version. And if you ever want to replan it, you can now change it in the virtual version, the metaverse version, before you implement it in the physical version. So that's another example of a Now, there's a whole bunch of metaverses that are going to be created. For example, I have a metaverse in my house.
Yeah.
And inside the metaverse of my house, I'll have a collection of digital art that I paid for. They belong to me, and it's a one of a kind. It's literally, it's incredible. It's incredible. And these digital versions of my art or my furniture or whatever it is, I could bring it and put it into the physical version using augmented reality. It'll just be hanging right there on the wall. and you can only enjoy it if you're wearing glasses, or you can only enjoy it if you use the phone, so that you could see these beautiful pieces of art, or vase, or whatever it is, something your family made for you, or it's your collection, but it's digital, and it belongs to you. It belongs to you. It's one of a kind. It might even be valued because of NFT, and you might have purchased it with digital currency, and you could exchange it with other people. There's only one version of it, and so I could send you a gift, and then all of a sudden it'd be in your metaverse, and if you would like to present it in your home during a party, or change it up, you could. So you could enjoy it. And so these are versions of the metaverse that are quite mundane, quite frankly. But, it's very useful. And it'll help us be more productive, and so it's nothing like sci-fi movies.
That makes me feel a lot better. My last question to you, if I may, is there a potential that these technologies make the world more level rather than more unequal?
That's a wonderful last question. I believe that artificial intelligence will democratize technology. I'm going to prove it. I believe artificial intelligence will democratize technology. And so one of my favorite examples is a cucumber farmer in Japan, and the family sorts through cucumbers, and it's incredibly laborious work, as you can imagine, because the cucumbers that come off, some of it are incredibly beautiful, and they should be served. They would be sold to sushi restaurants, and they would be served with garnish. Some of it is, they're just pedestrian. You would serve it as you would sell it to a grocery store as a vegetable. Some of it would be so ugly, so lovely ugly, that they would actually sell it in a specialty store. And so, because every one of them are different, so depending on how they look and their sizes and scale, the value of the cucumber could vary by 10 to 1. And so the sorting of the cucumbers is incredibly important. It's incredibly laborious, and it's the only thing that keeps the farm vibrant. And so what they do is, of course, the owners of the farm, or in this case, the story I heard was the mother of the cucumber farm was the person who knew how to sort it just exactly. Well, it turns out the son learned about artificial intelligence and stuck a camera on top of his mom, watching her sort cucumbers. And this artificial intelligence learned how to sort cucumbers as well as mom did.
I love it. And
so it just sat there and just simply flip it from one bin to another bin. And now mom could go and sell the cucumbers and use her time much more much more wisely. Talk about how they raised the cucumber and grew the cucumber, and the painstaking work that they did, and she could tell people about the great cucumbers they have. Well, what just happened? Literally, what just happened is artificial intelligence was able to write a piece of software that no human could until now. And this kid was able to make this great piece of software using AI and to make it available to help his mom and dad.
I love
so what just happened? Democratization of technology. Before AI, before a computer could write the software by itself, a human would have had to write the software. No computer scientists would dedicate their time, no company would dedicate their time for such a small market as sorting cucumbers. And they don't have the ability to do it themselves. And so what we just witnessed is essentially the automation of intelligence, democratizing computing, democratizing technology for everybody for the first time. That's why I think this is going to level the playing field. And that's why we should have AI for everybody. That's why we should democratize the technology for every industry, every country, make it available to everybody.
Thank you so much. AI for everyone. Sons and their mothers building AI. That is beautiful. I'm going to take that and many other things you've said today away. I am so grateful for your time, and I hope that we can continue to talk as you spend more time in the UK. Thank you very much, Jensen, and thank you very much to everybody listening. See you all soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Tabitha. Nice to see you.